Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Power Within podcast. This time round, I have a fantastic guest. Her name is Lynda Emmett. And Lynda is the founder of Your Gift to You, a holistic health and wellness company. She specializes in working with stress, anxiety, and addictions. And on top of all that, she has her own podcast titled Happiness is an Inside Job. So I'd like to welcome Lynda onto the podcast. Lynda, you're very welcome.
Hi, Trevor, and thanks very much for having me on the Power Within. I know you're all the way down there in Waterford, but yeah, thanks for the invite on. It's brilliant to have a chance to come on and have a little chat with you, talk about what I do and everything hypnosis.
Brilliant, great stuff. And I know that I've just gave a brief bio there, just a couple of lines. Is there anything that would you like to expand on the type of work that you do and what your business is all about and your message and so on?
Yeah, sure, no bother at all. As you said, my business is Your Gift to You. It's a holistic health and wellness company. When I first started out a few years ago, I very much took a top-down only approach, as in working with the subconscious, the patterns, the habits, and how they impact our behaviors and what's behind that, be it our traumas, our negative or destructive beliefs. And I worked very much, I suppose, with the head, the brain, and the mind. Now, over the past few years, I've actually adapted what I do a little bit, and I bring in a bit more of a holistic approach. So I will work with the body as well as the mind, because the body is where we feel our emotions. The body is where our nervous system responds from. So I bring in meditation, breath work, and audios in along with work using hypnotherapy and coaching to work with my clients, because I find you need to heal from all sides, the emotional, physical, and the mental, for people to move on and get to where they want to go. So that's why now I'll say I take a far more holistic approach, because I embody all parts of us. And as you said there, I work with anxiety, stress, and addictions. And a lot of that comes from my own background, from my own healing journey. I would have struggled massively with, well, all three really, with anxiety, with stress, and with addictions, compulsive behaviors, and I would have struggled with many things. And it was only when I hit my own rock bottom and began my own healing journey, I looked into different modalities. I started out first with meditation, which I found powerful, and I still do today. And then I dived into the coaching, and then from there I moved into the hypnotherapy, which I find absolutely powerful, for gaining phenomenal results for clients within session. And then going from there, they can take those changes out into their life, because what we do find, or what we do think when we're struggling with stress or anxiety, is we tend to believe it's impacting one part of our lives, be it I suffer from work anxiety or public speaking anxiety. But what we find is when we really take a dive in, it's actually shown up in a number of aspects of our lives. And with anxiety in particular, I think two of the worst things that happen with it is you can feel out of control of your own body, your own responses, your own reactions. It's like your body is reacting or responding beyond you, or it's something you can't control, which is really, really scary. And over time, because of that, our world can become very small, because we become so afraid. The anxiety becomes bigger, and with that, our world become smaller, because we don't want to be attending social gatherings. We don't want to be going on Zooms, meeting up with people, showing ourselves to the world, basically. So over time, as I say, it just makes our world smaller. And if I can help clients in any way to move from that and through that, get to the root that's triggering and driving it, it means then that they can live a happy, larger life again. And that's what we're all here for.
Sure. And I've heard a lot about you. I've actually heard a lot of good
Really?
things about you.
You tell.
And yeah, well, I know that even from talking to you now that today that you have, you know, the experience and the background, and you've walked the walk and talked the talk so that you can resonate and empathize with your clients more effectively. Because, you know, it's not just like a piece of paper, okay, I've read this out of, you know, you've learned, which is great in the courses and stuff. But it's great to be able to bring that life experience to the table when you're helping your clients, isn't it?
Oh, 100%. I mean, like it's coming from personal experience again. A lot of the time, a lot of the reason I didn't go and get help sooner was because I would have struggled hugely with shame and with guilt, and with the difference between, you know, the roles we play, who you show up to the world as, and how you're really feeling inside. Do you know what I mean? And it would have been shame and guilt kept me in the closet for a long time, and fear of judgment, fear of what people would say if they saw what was really going on, what I was really struggling with, how I really felt. Because for me at the time, I believed to the outside world I looked super successful, together, a real go-getter, independent, confident, and that's, to me, that's who they accepted, that's who they wanted. So to show up as someone who was vulnerable, struggling with anxiety, riddled with insecurities, you know, struggled with body image, all of these things, struggled with addiction, for me, I felt, you know, I'd be rejected, or in some way I'd failed them. And this is what stops us asking for help. It stops us showing up. It stops us being who we truly are. So in a lot of what I do, I'll bring what I struggled with and where I've been to the table. One, so as people, you know, I hope they know that they won't be judged in any way, shape or form, and that there's nothing to be ashamed of or feel guilty about. These things, that the anxiety, stress, even addictions, they're all behaviors we have. They're not who we are. We're underneath those behaviors, but it's our own negative beliefs and those patterns that are driving those behaviors and causing us to bring in these things, either to self-soothe or to hide away from the world. So as much as possible, I try to share a lot of where I've been, and in part because I know how painful it was for me. I know how low I felt, and I certainly don't sit here and I wouldn't say to anybody, you know, oh, you know, I'm an absolute Zen guru now, and I don't, you know, I don't struggle at all anymore. Of course I do. Life changes around us each and every day. You know, you're late,
Sure.
you're, you know, it's, people get sick, people get hurt, loved ones, you know, leave, grow up, relationships end, new ones begin. It's all happening all around us all the time. And I think it's not that we don't feel pain, it's learning not to turn it internal. And I think that's what we've done for so long from childhood. I think what I do, and what a lot of the phenomenal people within the Irish hypnotherapy group, what a lot of them do is we're teaching people how not to turn their pain internal. And to release them from what's dragging them down, what's burdening them, and literally creating some of that freedom. A lot of what keeps us trapped and stuck is us constantly stuffing down our emotions, stuffing down how we're feeling, stuffing down the not good enoughs. And a lot of what I do, and what a lot of the others do, is, you know, work on releasing that and seeing who you truly are behind those behaviors, seeing, you know, the amazing person that sits behind all that gunk that we've been carrying around with us.
Sure, absolutely. And folks, if you haven't come across or checked out Lynda's podcast, I really seriously recommend it. It's a brilliant podcast. The happiness is an inside job. Absolutely fantastic. I've only listened to the first episode, but I can't wait to plow on through season 1. I know you've just recently finished season 1. You're planning on season 2, aren't you?
I am, yeah.
You know,
Hollywood.
Yeah, there it goes. You're flying it. And I really got me, Lynda, and from listening to podcasts, your humanity, and like you kept my attention through the whole 25 minutes of the podcast. You know, I was absorbed in the podcast from the start to the finish. So folks, check out the podcast. I'm sure it's on all the usual platforms. Happiness is an inside job, and you're going to learn a lot. You're going to get a lot from it. I know I did, and that's just after one episode. So fair play to you for doing it.
Thank you so much. I genuinely a little emotion here. I really, really appreciate that. It's great to hear, because you know yourself even from doing this, and mine at the moment is just audio. So you've no idea. You're nearly, when you're doing a podcast or anything like that, sometimes you feel like you're talking into a void. Is anybody listening? You know, is your message? You know, over time, I've learned from obviously seeing the stats on it and people reaching out and getting beautiful messages that people are listening. But each time I hear feedback like what you've said, it lights me up. It's great to hear that it's, I suppose, serving its purpose. It's doing what I want it to do, and people are getting those feels when they listen to it, and they're getting to connect with it, and you know, it's resonating with them. That's phenomenal, because that was always the plan for that I could, you know, with it, reach more people that maybe couldn't attend sessions or my classes or things like that, to get that message out there that happiness is an inside job, and it's working on the internal turmoil that we have going on, releasing that and freeing ourselves from that is the key to our happiness.
Sure. And you know what, when I was listening to it, I was actually thinking of some family members and that would really enjoy the podcast, because when it comes to, you know, yourself, family, you know, I find from experience that it'll be someone else that will help them more effectively than me, because I'm too close within the family. And your podcast is so simple and it makes so much sense that I'd be forwarding on your podcast to quite a few people. So
brilliant.
Yeah,
brilliant.
I'll be sharing it on my social media page, my Facebooks and so on. You know, it's fantastic. Well done on that.
Thank you so much. As I say, it's really great to hear. Really, really great to hear. I'm delighted, and as I say, I'm delighted it's getting that message out there.
And it's funny because, like, one of the things that I always say to my clients is that, you know, in terms of happiness is an inside job, that we are, to a great extent, what we focus on, what we think about, what we give our attention to, and what we tell ourselves. You know, it's not true.
100%, 100%. Where focus goes, energy flows. And effectively, you know, what's behind that is, well, one, we are energy, but what we're focusing on, our brain is firing neurons at, and it is actively focusing on that and looking to serve you, looking to back that up. So what you're thinking of, it is pulling memories and ideas in to support that. Memories from your past to support. So if you're thinking, as a little example, I never have any money, and that's what you're focusing on, that's your thought, your brain is pulling in, it's firing neurons at that, it's pulling in every memory from the past of you either having that feeling, I never have any money, or all the times you never had any money, hence driving that in your system. Whereas if you're sitting there and you're focusing on, you know, oh, you know, I love having loads of money, your brain is pulling in every time you had loads of money. It's literally going through, for want of a better word, it's like a supercomputer. It's going through its own storage, and it is finding all the times you had loads of money and you loved that feeling. So what we're thinking, where our focus goes, energy flows hugely, and it's our perspective, it's what our brain is looking for. So it has a massive impact, because we hear all this talk, and I know certainly when I first started learning about health, wellness, mental health, all of those things, we hear a lot about, you know, positive thinking and affirmations, but sometimes it's understanding what's behind that and why positive thinking works, why affirmations work, and it's literally training new patterns into your brain.
Absolutely. And you know, the funny thing about it is that the people that out there that are more skeptical when it comes to hypnosis, the ironic thing can be is that the biggest form of hypnosis, one of the greatest forms of hypnosis, is what we tell ourselves, isn't it? And
Oh, absolutely.
yeah, and so I find that, you know, if you tell yourself, obviously it's been said before, but if you tell yourself that you can't do something, guess what? You know, you can't. But once you tell yourself you can do something, then you're opening up your mind to, you're opening up a doorway, a window to achieve your goals. Isn't that true as well?
Absolutely,
Yeah,
absolutely. And as Henry Ford said, you know, whether you believe you can or you believe you can't, you're right. Because if you believe you can, your brain, your mind, you look for ways to do it. If you believe you
right.
can't, you won't even try. And I mean, like, he was worth 200 billion when he died. So the man knows his shiz. Will listen to him.
That's right. That's right. One of the first books I ever purchased or ever was given to me when I was 15 or 16. You might be familiar with a book entitled The Power of Positive Thinking by Norman Vincent Peale. One of you come
I've
across
heard of
that
it.
book. And at the time when I was a teenager, you know, I was being bullied in school and I hadn't much confidence in myself back then. And when I was given that book, I forget if I bought it or was given to me, but that book really was a changing point in my life when I, you know, came across, you know, this truth. And from that point on, then my life changed. Now the book, you know, it's a very old book. It's written, I think, you know, back, it could be 56 years old now. But it's still a book that I still have the copy of the book after
Yeah.
all these years. I hold on to it. And I know the same thing has been said a number of different ways by a number of different authors and books out there. But The Power of Positive Thinking, folks, if you come across it, you know, pick it up because it's still a fantastic message within the book. We can if we think we can. If you believe you can, you can. I mean, when our clients come to see us, one of the most important factors to success is believing that you're going to make that change and expecting results. Because look, as Lynda said, and I'm saying as well, when we create, we are the creators of our own reality. And, you know, the sky's the limit. Like once you have that knowledge, then, you know, we can do anything really. And it's just that belief in ourselves and being aware as well, as Lynda, you mentioned in your podcast, of how our mind works in terms of our limitations and, you know, the barriers that we put up. We can create these false scenarios in our mind that then trigger off the flight or fight response within our body, which leads to, of course, to chronic stress and then all sorts of sickness and diseases. So, you know, then, you know, once you have that information, once you change your perspective and your mindset, then that's when your world will change. And, you know, that first episode of your podcast really delivers that message. So well done. Well done.
Again, thanks so much. I do think we're very privileged to get to do what we do. And just I'm terribly sorry to hear that you were bullied. I see it a lot with the younger clients I have. It's an awful thing. It has a huge impact on our self-worth from a young age. And I remember, I mean, like, I'd my own, they used to call me the lanky carrot. Because I'm a natural redhead and I was very tall, and I know I laugh at it now, but
Right.
I was devastated at the time. The carrot. And yeah, I as I say, I had my own struggles with bullying.
We're back then. Sorry to hear that, by the way, but it sounds like you've come out of it and you're amazing. You're an amazing person, and the work that you're doing is absolutely fantastic and inspiring. But I honestly do also believe that it's these experiences in our life that actually, you know, make us who we are now. And you know, the old saying is, what doesn't kill you kills you, makes you stronger. And like back when I was a teenager, like my name even like was part of a TV ad. Trevor ever getting up, never in a month of Sundays. And I remember like 40 people in my class singing that in unison, and it was mortified. But you know, I think kids at the time, even like back then, I suppose, more than now, I think the world has changed. But back in the 80s, definitely, you know, kids could be cruel. But yeah, but I mean, look at those life experiences, like all benefit us at the end of the day, because they make us stronger, and we learn from our mistakes. And that's what I find, that it's okay to, you know, to feel down. It's okay to make a mistake. It's okay to, you know, not be perfect, because in the society that we live in now, it's like, you know, people are afraid to make that mistake or to get things wrong, that everything has to be perfect. But I'm sure you'd agree that that's not the case. That, look, that's how we learn, isn't it? And we reach inside of ourselves to get the best out of ourselves.
Yeah, all it is, you know, what we're trying to do and be is better than we were yesterday. And creating a better version of ourselves. Do you know what I mean? And I'm a firm believer in, you know, the journey is not about finding ourselves. We're not lost. We're in there. We're just underneath a lot of, you know, patterns, behaviors, gunk and hurt, that ways that we needed to be, to fit in, to be loved, to be accepted, to belong. Coping mechanisms and protective mechanisms that are driving behaviors and reactions and responses, like anxiety, stress, addiction. We already are underneath all of that. And all of those things, we already are the most amazing version of ourselves. When we're born, we're whole, we're connected. We have a full sense of belonging. It's learning in this world. It's learning from parents who have their own coping mechanisms and ways of protecting you and ways of loving you, or, you know, traumas that have impacted us. It's literally unlearning all of the crap and the programs, the negative beliefs and all of that stuff is what we need to do to be the best version of ourselves. And that, as I say, in ways is a lot of what I do. It's a lot of what hypnotherapy does. And one of my mentors, Freddie Jacquin, and he's a friend. He just is love. He's a lovely guy. And I loved the way he says it. He says people are afraid to come to hypnotherapy because they're afraid of being put in a trance. And he says, we're already in trance. All of those subconscious behaviors that is us in a negative trance, constantly on those hamster wheels of behaviors that we don't want, constantly in that failure mindset, or struggling, doing things we feel out of control of, or going back to the same thought patterns constantly. They are the trances that we're in. They are the negative trances. What hypnotherapy does is break those trances, break those links, break those patterns, so you're free to create the ones that you want. And for me, that really resonated with me and what it does. And it literally made me look and go, oh my God, I actually am. We are running relentless negative trances all the time.
That's right. And it's unlearning. That's a word that you use, is a very key word. Because
learning all those.
Yeah, when we're born, we're actually born in many ways perfect. Like, we're born with confidence. We're born with the ability to love ourselves, to heal ourselves, to protect ourselves, support ourselves, empower ourselves. But if you like, what happens is, like, as we go through life, and in many ways the toxic society, which it can be, that we live in, we pick up what I call these parasitical parts and programs, like smoking and, you know, emotional eating and all the like habits like nail biting and fears and phobias and all the rest of it. And it's the thing is like, you know, if you actually stop and reflect on when you were a child, when, like, if you look at children in many ways are much more resourceful than adults.
Mm.
You know, children don't have any limitations.
No, they
Right?
create worlds in their minds. They
That's right.
create, you know, they're just all imagination. They're all the Delta state. And it's in that state and in those young ages that a lot of our beliefs are formed about ourselves, about others, about the world around us, and about how we fit in. And that's why they say, like, children are like sponges. Because they're absorbing everything around them. Like, that's why children mimic so much and copy so much, because they're literally absorbing the world around them, and they're forming a sense of self, how they fit in and who they need to be to fit in. And this is where a lot of our roles and our masks and our particular behaviors come from, like being like our masks being, you know, the people pleaser, the quiet one, the nice one, the smart one, the funny one, who we think we need to be to fit in and belong. And it's all this that then sits on top of who we truly are, because we behave according to who we think we should be rather than who we really are. And I think we can spend a lot of our lifetime, our adult life, trying to get back to how we felt when we were that age, when we hadn't got those limitations, beliefs,
Right.
all of that. So we actually came into the world with all of that, and along the way started to hide it, stuff it down, push it away, or
Right.
whatever we needed to do. And it's what we do that we have the privilege of supporting clients in getting back to just who they actually are.
That's right. And that's the funny thing that you just said there. I mean, I became a hypnotherapist in 2010, and it's a couple of years before my first daughter was born.
Mm.
And but since I have two children, 10 and 8, and honestly, hand on heart, I can say that I've learned more from them, you know, than in many ways they have from me. Now, I know that sounds, I don't know if you understand and get what I'm saying there, but you can
100%,
learn.
100%. I have a daughter.
Yeah, it's even their energy, like, you know, the
Yeah.
energy and the innocence, and you know, you did go into that a little bit in your first episode of your podcast as well. And you know, I can't wait to get more of that. So Lynda, I'm just one eye on the time there, and
Sure.
is there anything that like, it's been fantastic having you on today.
Thanks.
And
It's been lovely to be on. Thanks so much. You've been an amazing host. Really appreciate the invite on. I genuinely.
Thanks a million. Thanks a million. And this is what it's all about, folks, the Power Within podcast. It's just an informal chat. As Lynda can tell you, there was nothing scripted about this
Yep.
podcast here today. We just went with the flow. We said we just see where the conversation takes us. So I hope you've enjoyed the conversation. And Lynda, you're absolutely amazing, and you're inspiring me. You know, if you're inspiring me, I'm sure you're inspiring many, many others out there. Is there any message, anything you would like to say to everyone? Any message or any final parting words?
Oh, pressure is not just for tires. Parting words. Yeah, you
Just
know,
for now, just for now, because you can go back on the podcast. You're very welcome to come back on, of course.
oh, thank you so much. You know that's going to happen now that you've said it on air. So I will be back. I think really to anybody, final parting words. We can you know, spend so long looking outside ourselves for who we think we need to be or how we know and need to show up. Our work it's internal. A lot of what causes us, you know, conflict and turmoil is pushing down, stuffing down what's going on, what we're really feeling, whether it be a trauma, pain, sadness, grief. And feelings just need to be felt. They just need to be felt. Otherwise, they come out in us physically, in our physical bodies. We're in our illnesses, we're in our phobias, our anxieties, all of that stuff. And people think that coming to coaching or hypnotherapy will create pain. It doesn't. The pain's already there. That's the thing you're fighting with every day. It's coming up in your behaviors, in your patterns. What we do is support you and hold space for you and use tools and techniques for you to release that, for you to let that go, to be you without that in your life. Do you know what I mean? To give you life without that problem. So yeah, I think that's a really long parting words I have, but yeah.
Lynda, I couldn't have said it better myself.
Good.
And yeah, amazingly put. And you know, that's the thing about us as hypnotherapists, that we facilitate a very empowering process. But at the end of the day, it's, you know, happiness is an inside job, and it's about each and every one of our clients taking personal responsibility, you know, for your own health and well-being. Because at the end of the day, you are in charge of your own life. And, you know, that's the thing, that if I have clients coming in and tending to play the victim a little bit, and that's a very unresourceful and unproductive place to be. And, you know, it's about empowering our clients and connecting them with that power that they've had, you know, because everyone has had it, because as we've talked about, we were born with it, and maybe somewhere along the way lost it, but we can reconnect them with it and give them that back. And once that happens, you know, the sky's the limit, as we've said already. Lynda, you've been a fantastic guest. Thanks very much. Have a fantastic rest of the week and rest of the year. And I'm sure I'll be in touch, and keep doing the podcast, keep doing the great work, and getting your message out. Well done.
It's been lovely. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Lynda. Genuinely thanks. Folks, this is the Power Within podcast. My name is Trevor Evers, your host. And until next time, take care. Take care of yourselves. Be good to yourselves, and we'll see you next time.
Toodles.